Thank you so much. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to NAMM. Yeah, it's a little bit like a zoo at NAMM. It almost sounds like something an animal would say. NAMM. And man, it's great to be here. Thank you guys so much. I have nothing prepared. So I'm just going to play. I'm going to take requests. I'm going to answer questions. I wanted to talk about whatever you guys want to talk about and play whatever you guys want me to play. All right, so I have this guitar. I'm actually playing the Ltd AS-1, and this is the more affordable version of the ESP version. It's also great. Last year we debuted the ESP, and I was mostly playing that, but I want you to know I also play this one too. And even though it's more affordable, it's still great, and it does a lot of great things. So I want to talk a little bit about what this does. Let's switch channels right now. You saw me getting set up and dialing in tone, so I'm going to switch to clean tone. All right, so here's something kind of interesting. So right here on this knob, if I pull this, I get a single coil sound. You hear the difference? So this is double coil. Very rocking, yeah. Right? So I pull this. Now I get. So this is more like a blues country thing. Yes, you can do twang on an ESP. All right, so that's the rhythm pickup, and I'm going to switch to the center position. I'm talking. All right, slightly different. Here's the treble. All right, so this would be more for like a funk sound. All right, so I'm going to play with this sound a little bit. All right, any questions?
There. I first started listening to you when you were with Testament, and then probably 2 years ago with your jazz trio.
Mm-hmm.
Really loved it.
Thank you.
Who was your influence to get into the jazz side of things?
Okay, well, who was my influence to get into the jazz side of things? That's a good question. There's a lot to talk about there. Yeah, part of what I'm all about too is just, you know, I'm an avid listener. I'm an avid collector of music. I like to listen to it as much as I like to play it. And I'm not content just owning albums. I get obsessed. I want to know how to play it. And I think, you know, I've taken, in the early days when I started getting into the jazz stuff, there'd be occasional criticism, like, you know, this is a metal guy. What does he think he's doing? And you still see that now that it's the days of the YouTube comment section and stuff like that. But of course, the people making these comments, I mean, don't they have anything better to do? You know. And I guess it's just I figured doing metal. It's never that I didn't want to do metal. Obviously, I'm doing metal. I did a show last night called The Metal Allegiance, paying tribute to metal. And yeah. But all along, I've wanted to do this stuff too. And initially, what got me into it, I also figured, you know, doing metal, it takes so much technique and knowledge of the instrument. You know, if you're going to work that hard to learn how to play this, why limit it to just one style? So the artists that initially got me inspired, I mean, God, there's so many to name, but Pat Metheny is a big one. John Schofield is another one. In fact, just now, you know, I was doing a couple of these intervallic things where I would, do, kind of weird sounding things that largely comes from him, and also like these types of licks, these sort of yeah. This is actually a kind of a jazz chestnut. This up here. Right, all that is it's whole steps, but moving down in minor thirds, but across the strings. Hard to do. Right. But occasionally, you know, that finds its way into my metal playing too. Right, so that comes from this scale. Right, that's called the. You think of it different ways, but I think the most functional way to think of that is half whole diminished. Right, so the diminished scale, a lot of us think of this. Right, that is diminished, that's correct, but it's not a scale, that's actually an arpeggio. Right, and that old chestnut. Right, but that comes from this. Right, which is an 8-note scale. And there's 2 versions. It could also come from this. Yeah, sometimes when I'll sneak in a metal run and a metal solo, and I'll do that. Because it's interesting. It's like it's a different sound. It's great for fingering. And also you can move it in intervals of 3 frets. By the way, I'm playing very dry now and clean. I think it's important to be able to play dry and clean before you wetten it up with effects. Obviously, when you perform in concert, you want a good sound and a sound that really supports it. But when you're practicing your licks, you should go for a naked sound and just raw. Okay, so that's that scale. So it's diminished. So that came from John Schofield. I'd mentioned Pat Metheny. Wes Montgomery was another one. That was an initial one. And
How about Tommy Bolin?
oh yeah, Tommy Bolin was great. Well, Tommy Bolin was a very rare example of somebody who actually did improvisation with very professional improvisers like Billy Cobham, and he did rock with real rockers like Deep Purple. So yeah, he was amazing. I mean, he's it's so sad that he's not around anymore, because I think he was really like one of the original guys that actually could do that and have these foots in that would dare look at improvisational music and hard rock. I had mentioned Wes Montgomery. It took me a while, to be able to do a lot of the sort of the faster stuff he did. Like he has a lot of these great little arpeggio figures, like stuff like that. That was okay, but thank you. I'm a little out of practice with that. That's called 4-on-6. All right, so what does that have to do with metal? Well, one of the signature things that Wes Montgomery did was to take an octave. He was the first guy I ever heard, and the first one I know of. To sort of emulate horn hits. It was for playing in small groups, because it was the period following big bands. It got less affordable to take a horn section on tour. So he would sort of emulate these horn hits. It has that big sound. All right, and somehow that found its way into rock. All right, so stuff like this. That comes right from Wes Montgomery. Yes. Oh. Yeah, you can. Wes Montgomery. But also, I guess by the time I had done that, like early '90s, I'd heard other guys like Van Halen would do octaves. sometimes. Actually, even my friend that's coming up later, George Lynch, I remember hearing this. Anybody remember that? Docking? Anyway, so yeah, one of the things I like to do is connect the dots for different genres of music. And I was always, I learned music theory late. I studied with Satriani before people knew who he was. He was still a teacher up in the Bay Area. And I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't like his star, he will tell you. I was not his star pupil or anything. But as time went on, I was ready for a lot of the stuff that he was teaching me. So, you know, what I just played you earlier was very complex scales. Like, right, that would have made no sense back in those days. But he had explained the modes to me. So the modes, that's something that it just went way over my head. But later, when I finally got it, I figured out a way that makes sense for me. So, yeah, just to talk about modes for a second, right? Most of us are familiar with what a major scale is, right? All right. So very often when students come to me or I do master classes, I ask someone to play a major scale, and they'll play it like. Right. That's not useful for everything. I mean, that's good. Yeah, there's certain licks where that might be good, but I just think a good blueprint for this major scale is do it like one octave on 3 strings, and then do it the next octave. Right, and the reason I choose this position is because it lines up perfectly with this. Alright, so anybody know what that is? Pentatonic, exactly. So this is a major pentatonic shape. Right, and a major scale. Okay, so then I move to the next note, the second one. Okay, so that's the second mode of C major. I can also play that here. Okay, now that also has a pentatonic shape. That has its own. This is this. Right, so a lot of people get confused. They think, oh, because that's related to C major, I should play a C major pentatonic scale with it. But that's actually a D minor pentatonic scale. All right, so that works over a D minor chord. A D minor progression. Okay, so if I'm in C major, all the gravity goes to C. Right, so if I play a rhythm in C major, like, let's take a simple rock rhythm. Has There's some bends I can. Okay, so that's related to other pentatonic shapes, right? So if I move down right here, right, exact same scale, but in the position of a minor pentatonic. And minor pentatonic is so popular because you notice when I was bending here, right, I have a nice bend here. This is a weird bend though, right? That'll clash if I don't play it over the right chord. So you have to be very careful. This one, that's got to be a half step bend. So the major pentatonic is awkward for bending, but you go to the minor pentatonic, you can bend the first string, second string, third string, right? And that creates all these licks that are part of our vocabulary. Right, so now I'll play along and I'll just play in that position. And now here's both positions. Okay, so that's all one mode. That's all, one basic shape. All right, so now I'm going to go to the second note of that. Right, remember, I played a position up here. And this relates to the minor pentatonic up here, the 10th fret. Right, so for this I need a progression based on the D minor chord, but that fits within this key.
Channel switching. Yeah, you need to go to channel 1. Little channel switcher.
I'm a Mach 5 guy. What? You a boogie guy? Yeah. Jump in, brother. Hey guys, the channel switchers are on the back.
On the back?
Yeah. There's so many fucking dogs.
That's ridiculous, right?
Yeah. Should be a road like dog. Channels. Right hand side. Yep.
There you go, you got it. Next time somebody asks me that, I'm going to know it now. And hide it.
That's why we just have this.
Yeah. Marshall on louder bass treble reverb. Thank you.
Brad, by the way.
Thank you, Kevin.
Uno momento. Forgot one thing. Forgot.
Can I get some?
Yep. Well, the very thing I went back for. Yeah.
Fair catch. One hand.
Plug it in.
We got the amp on standby.
I don't think the guitar's not plugged in.
Chris.
Yeah, we're good to go now. Oh, the amp wasn't on standby. Oh, the other one. Yeah, that Marshall's on standby. There you go. Wait.